To hear him be degraded, called somebody that he's not, is honestly one of the hardest things I've ever had to go through in my life. It definitely has put me in a battle with God. I felt like God had abandoned me.
Every journey has a beginning, a moment when faith takes hold. In the middle of struggle and doubt, God's light still breaks through. Stories of healing, stories of hope, rooted in truth, grounded in grace. Growing together in faith, this is Rooted Testimonies. Real people, real faith. This is my story.
Hi, my name is Damyiah Blake. I'm 23 years old. I'm from Los Angeles, California, and this is my story. Life growing up was very interesting. I wouldn't say a bad child, but I was a rebellious child because I grew up with a pastor as a mom and a rapper as a dad. So a PK and a CK, pastor's kid, celebrity's kid. So it clashed having both of those worlds and being a part of both, being so connected to God, but also being in the world when it comes to my dad and all the shows that he was doing. So I could say it was challenging, but I always found a way to make the best of it. My dad is famous rapper DJ Quik. Growing up with my dad being who he was, I can honestly say that the exposure was for sure there. Like, I'd never realized how much he was trying to hide me from the light because of how prominent it was in our lives. It was awesome though, like knowing that my dad is a West Coast legend. Come on, I mean, you can see it in my face. I low-key look like him, but yeah, it's definitely an experience not a lot of people get, and I can say I'm grateful for it because not only is he a famous rapper, but he's still a human at the end of the day. So just getting to know who my dad is awesome. My greatest memory growing up with my dad has to be when he took me to the Santa Monica Pier as like a dad-daughter date, because me and my dad have never like went out on dates or ever had that type of father-daughter relationship where we really did many things. So I just remember him taking me to the pier. We went to the seaside by the pier, something like that. He got me a burger and then we went to the actual pier. I got on the Ferris wheel. He let me get on the roller coaster. He bought me ice creams. So that was probably my most memorable memory with him. Growing up with a pastor mom, oh boy, let me just tell you, I couldn't get away with anything. If I did literally the slickest thing or tried to be slick, my mom was already like, God already told me. And then she would tell me exactly what I did before I could even say anything. So it's kind of like, I would say that it kept me humbled and it kept me out of trouble. So it's grounding, but it is not for the weak. I'll say that. It's definitely not for the weak. Something that led me to Christ was when I had my own experience with him when I was younger. I was trying to hang with the wrong crowds just because mainly I wanted to be seen, just because I felt like I wasn't seen. I'd always did what I needed to do, but in some way I just felt like it was never enough. So in ways, I'd kind of act out or be with people I shouldn't have been with just to, I don't know, feel seen by it felt nice to be seen by somebody. So I was out one night past curfew, police pulled up on me and the crew. I was the only one that lied about my age. And thank God those were like nice cops. So they took me into their police car, took me home. Cop got out the car, was shining the light in all the windows. When I tell you my heart was beating faster than ever, it was beating faster than that little drummer boy, let me tell you. Just out of that whole situation, I ended up getting my birthday canceled and things like that. But it just showed me the protection that God has. Because imagine if I would have went to jail for lying about my age. They were drinking. I wasn't participating in what they were doing. But just imagine if I would have been. Like, that could have been a more serious situation than it was. So it was definitely something where I was like, okay, that wasn't natural. That had to have been God. Life after high school, I will honestly say, the first thing I did was get a job. So my mind was just on making money. That was like honestly, truly my first thing. But for me, school was never really my strong point. I'm not gonna lie. I graduated, but just in my heart, I didn't want to go back because I didn't feel like going to school would be pursuing what I really truly wanted to do. I saw myself more doing music and pursuing that aspect, because I come from a musical background. My dad does music, my mom sings, my sister sings, I sing, my brother raps. So it's like all of us are musically inclined in some way. So I definitely wanted to do music, but now being 23 years old, I'm in property management, which is something that I did not see myself doing. But my sister was in it, and after a while of not having a job just due to some prior experiences and being with people I shouldn't have been with, convincing me to quit my job. I did, and was jobless for 2 years, which was also humbling and was also God, because when he sits you down, he will sit you down. But yeah, I really wanted to pursue music, but I'm also still pursuing music, just mainly in property management now. So my dad was the type of person to always be there if I needed support, but he kind of let my hand go and just wanted me to do things on my own, kind of, get a leg out there on my own, see what life is like for me instead of being cradled through life or always having somebody like, oh, here, I got you. He wanted me to learn what it's like to get it for myself. So I appreciate him for that. Oh, biggest struggle recently that I've gone through, I'll honestly say, is my brother's trial, fighting some of the more serious charges that could ever be filed in a criminal court of law is like, it's like, this is my blood brother. And to hear him be degraded and called somebody that he's not, and that me and my family know he's not, but we have to sit here and listen to these people bash my brother and make it seem like he's a cold-blooded killer when he's not, is honestly one of the hardest things I've ever had to go through in my life. And I would not wish this pain on anybody at all. Mentally, I don't want to say I'm a mess, but I'm not all the way put together. I may look put together right now, but it's definitely a struggle waking up in the morning and just finding little things to be grateful for. But also spiritually, it definitely has put me in a battle with God, because I often find myself asking God, out of all the people this could have happened to, why did it happen to my brother? It's the person who has the cleanest record. He's a church boy, grew up in church. He tours with my dad. He's a DJ for my dad. He was working for the city of Compton for 5 years. It's like, how could somebody who only did everything to help people be put in a situation where now everybody is turning against him and calling him things that he's not? So it's also like Jesus being crucified and everything that he went through. He was called everything under the book, but he was the Messiah. So it's like, it definitely puts me in that perspective of like, okay, God, you gave your only son. So of course, my only brother, I would think, has to go through this, but it's also just like, why does he have to go through this? Like, why him out of all people? So it's been challenging mentally and spiritually, but I keep the faith no matter what. I have experienced something traumatic. I will say when I was in high school, I was essayed, crazy thing, by people in high school, crazy thing. You would think I'm this tall girl, I should be able to defend myself, but that happening, it definitely made me look at myself different, made me feel less than beautiful. It made me feel like an object and not a person with a beating heart. But it also showed me that you can never say this, it can't be you, because it can easily be you. And I will honestly say in all of that, I felt like God had abandoned me, but it's the way the situation played out when I knew that he was there the entire time. So during that time, I absolutely lost faith due to life circumstances, because I was just somebody the girl with the biggest heart, always smiling at people. Even if you frown at me, I'm gonna smile at you till I see you even crack a smile or something. For me to go through that when all I've ever wanted was to see other people be in a good space or to see them succeed, and for me to be downgraded and used and abused like that, it definitely made me lose faith. After that incident or that time of my life, I came back to Christ when, I'm gonna try not to get emotional, but I came back to Christ when I was in my room one day. This was during my high school points when me and my family were living together, and it was just me in the house at the time. And I had went downstairs and I grabbed the knife. And this was also in a point in my life where I was a heavy weed smoker and I had stopped smoking weed. So I was going through withdrawals also with that, but trying, so I grabbed the knife, I went upstairs, and I just sat in the bathtub and I was holding the knife to my throat. And I was like, I don't even know. I was gonna slit my throat, but then I wouldn't want to. So I was just it was a tug. It's like I wanted to do it, but something was grabbing my hand, telling me not to do it. And I think 5 minutes later, my mom ran up the stairs and she busted into the bathroom, picked me up out of the tub, and just held me. And the craziest thing is, I don't even remember who I texted or if I texted somebody and they let my mom know, but just for her to show that sense of urgency and like, I got you. I know that God needed me to have a physical version of him there, which was my mom. And it just showed me like, this is not the end of your story. It's not the end of my story. So I do consider myself to be a woman of Christ. And I would say in both aspects, being a woman of Christ has empowered me in ways to know that, one, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. Anything that I go through, I can overcome. God is within me. God is within her. She will not fail. There's just so many things that's in the Bible that pertains to women living in this day and age where it's just like, God, you knew I was going to go through this and you left reminders to let me know that I am strong throughout all of this. And I will also say it's hindered me in ways of finding people who are genuinely, truly for me, because being a woman of God, I have pure intentions and I'm okay with giving and not receiving because I have the heart of a giver and not really a receiver. Even my birthday's coming up and I told everybody I don't want a gift. Like, the biggest gift is you being in my life. That's the type of person I am. So it hinders me in ways of being used by the wrong people. But honestly, I will say the empowerment there comes in discernment and knowing when to walk away from certain people. So it definitely has its hindering moments, but I would say it empowers me more than it hinders me. Oh, through my experience, I'd say the relationship that affected me and my faith the most was my intimate partner. When I was 19, he was my first abusive relationship where like I had actually had hands put on me. And that was another part in my life, like a more recent part outside of high school, where I was just like, God, like what? Like, what's going on? Like, this was somebody who was supposed to be my safe space, who I felt like I could always run to, and to now be afraid of my safe space was just like, okay, like, yeah, that definitely impacted my faith in a way. Yeah. I find victory in waking up every day, and no matter what I went through the day before, I always feel like it's gonna be a good day. I find victory in knowing that no matter what I do, I'm always going to be protected by the Most High. Well, one thing I will start by saying is I've never suffered like Jesus has suffered, but through my suffering, something that has made me a better person throughout all of that is knowing that I can always come out of it, because you still see me sitting right here. I've been through some unspeakable things as even a little girl, even with my family, having the SWAT team brought to my house because of my father. Like, it's, oh my goodness. My suffering molded me to be a stronger woman and to know that with every challenge that I face, there is always going to be a way out, even if I don't see it. Because one thing about God, he always provides a way out. It's just up for you to see it or see it. And even if you don't see it in the moment, he will turn you in the direction of the path that he wants you to go to, no matter what you're doing. You could be dead in the middle of sin and you'll get an instant conviction, like your stomach will start hurting, or you'll feel like I just shouldn't be here. Things like that. Oh, yeah. Due to my parents, I will honestly say dealing with both sides, different personalities, has definitely conflicted me, because on one side, and I'm gonna be completely honest, on one side, I am God-fearing. I want to be Christ-like. I want to live righteous. I want to be holy and acceptable in his sight. Then on the other side, you cut on the right song, I'm gonna start dancing. Not like that, but I'm a dancer. I am full of life. So when it comes to my dad and him having concerts and I can Dougie or reject on stage or something, but also, the weed smoking coming with that and the alcohol, sometimes I'll take a shot or two. So it's definitely conflicting when it comes to living right and living in the world. I would say it's for sure conflicting, but it's taught me how to be stable in the midst of different personalities. I would say how to never lose sight of me just because I see somebody doing something or I see another person doing another thing. I always just did what I had to do. Well, not always. I won't say always. That's a lie. But once I got of age to understand that I needed to do what is best for me and start thinking for myself, that's when it changed. What I'm dealing with today that's playing a major role in my faith and life is, once again, my brother's trial. Just because I see God working in all of it. Like, the prosecution has said things that they shouldn't have said. But then my brother's lawyer will turn around and paint the full picture of everything. So it just makes it make sense. So in certain aspects, I lose faith because I'm like, God, like, his fate is in the hands of 12 people. Not just 12 people, but 12 of God's children. That a majority of them are Christians, but not all of them. So it's like anybody can think anything. Everyone is different. So it gets hard, but I also know one thing my mom has always said since the beginning is God's word stands. He will never go back on his word. And there's nothing, when God speaks and says something is so, there is nothing that you can do, your family can do, your friends can do that can change what God already said. So it's 50-50. And it's crazy how all you need is what is it? You need faith the size of a mustard seed to start with. So it's like my faith will go from here, but then it'll become that little mustard seed. But that little mustard seed is what I hold on to when I'm at my last. So out of this situation specifically, I would say there's nothing well, for me, I definitely want to gain more understanding. And I've seen God so clearly in all of this and just the lessons he's been teaching me. But something that I want to come out of this for my brother is for him to see God's hand in his life. Because it's one thing for me to be the sister with a bigger amount of faith and a deeper amount of faith than my brother, who's older than me by 7 years. But it's another thing for him to be the one that's going through it and him to be the only one that's sitting up there at that table alone. So I definitely want him to see God more after this. When I look at Damyiah, I see a woman who's been through hell and back, but still walks with a smile on her face. You have ever heard the saying, if you're walking through hell, run? I can honestly say I've been walking through hell, but I've been doing it so gracefully. I'm the type of person that can get spit on, kicked, get a crown of thorns put on my head, and no matter what, I will always still choose to see the good in people, but not only that, to see the good in myself, because there's not many. You can see the good in everybody else, but it matters when you see the good in you. And I can honestly say I am genuinely a beautiful soul. I have my moments. I do. We're all human, but I am strength. That's what I am. In 2 to 5 years, I definitely see myself with a couple of businesses and for sure touring. By this point, I'm gonna have albums put out. My family's gonna be at houses. Yeah, I see myself doing music, to be completely honest, because that's where my heart is. And also I'm thinking of, not only doing R&B music, but doing gospel music as well, because I'm not the type of person that cusses in my songs. So I feel like my music taste is very diverse to the point where I could put out gospel, but also put out my own music. So yeah, for sure music. That's the main thing. If I could talk to my younger self, I would tell her that no matter what anyone else tells her, she will always be the best her that she could be. Like, there is nobody better than Damyiah. So don't try to be anybody else. Don't try to bend yourself to fit the world's standards, because honestly, the world doesn't matter. If I could give a piece of advice to anybody that's listening to my testimony, even when you feel like you're at your last, never lose faith. Even if you have the size of a mustard seed, that's all you need. And if you need to, breathe, reevaluate the situations that you're in, and most definitely think before you react. Always. My favorite verse is Psalms 23, and it reads, "The Lord is my shepherd, I have what I need. He lets me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He renews my life. He leads me along the right paths for his name's sake. Even when I go through the darkest valley, I fear no danger, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Only goodness and faithful love will pursue me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord as long as I live." Amen.